Yes, people, sorry about that. This internet connection thing kind of funny, Right, so as I was saying, I don't know the law of the land as it regards doing music production while in prison. I really don't know it. So it's very difficult for me to speak on that aspect of it, where it concerns that. And, persons will come to say, unless it hit close to home, if it was your family who had got killed, what I would do from what I would do. We don't know unless we are literally in the position. It's easy to guess and spell. Sometimes we say, if it was me, I would do this. And when you're in the position, so you do something else. I'm not, my issue is this though. As I said, I don't know what Minister Hannah was talking about. So somebody said I should read her article, which I'm going to do that maybe a little later on. My issue is this. I personally have a different perspective in how crime and violence should be dealt with. And it has nothing to do with in support of a criminal act that somebody will commit. Because if your child commits a criminal act, you may have to turn in your child, because based on the law of the land and following the laws, but it doesn't mean that you're going to hate your child. Alright, if your mother, your father, your husband, or your wife, as the case may be, it doesn't mean that you're going to. So sometimes people it's as though they want to, because of how they feel towards somebody, they expect that that's how you should feel, and that strong sense of punishment or whatever it is to bring to the individual. To be honest with you, my take on this is that allow him to do the music, yes, because I believe in rehabilitation. And it doesn't mean that he should not pay for whatever crime or crimes he may have committed. It doesn't mean that he should not pay for it. That's not what I'm talking about. So for me, if a man commit murder like that, you don't just have him in the prisons like that. He goes to sleep, he wakes up, and then have them like how you have some of those, like where Richmond Park it is, wherever those, like they will send out those criminals. I don't know how much it is promoted. Let them do hard labor, as you probably call it, recompense or payment for the crime done based on the level of the crime. So you allow them to do hard labor. But doing hard labor, you remember, you're still dealing with a human being, doesn't mean that if he records music, he's not paying for the crime that he has committed. As I said, by just even being in prison alone, that alone is just paying for your crime. Because no matter when, human beings love them freedoms. Their freedom. Human beings love their freedom. Nobody don't want to know that they're incarcerated. Even if it is that they don't ill-treat you, they don't molest you, they don't rape you, they don't shout at you, talk to you in any way, have you in what you call it, the prison clothes, whatever it is, you still don't want to know that you're locked up in prison. You want to be out there in the society. If I ever walk the road, even if it is that you're homeless, you want to know that you're out. You want that freedom. Every human being. So my take on it is different in terms of whatever payment he should make for whatever crime it is that he may have committed, yes or no. Right? I don't know if I necessarily agree with banning his, allowing him to produce music in prison. I would say maybe put stipulations on it. You know what I mean? In terms of maybe producing any slap music or any music that speak about gun and violence or whatever it is. But as far as I know, Vybz Kartel, he does a wide variety of music. Clean songs, not so clean songs, uplifting songs, not uplifting songs. I guess maybe what goes on in the society. He sings everything all around us, so to speak. And the money that he makes, it should go in the proceeds, but the majority sum, they can work that out. That's not my issue. Goes to, for lifelong, for the victims' families. Or the victim family, The victim family should be, some form of payment. I mean, it won't bring back the person. I will have to just be, realistic where that is concerned. But maybe some form of compensation come to them monetarily. Because who knows, maybe that person who was killed was a breadwinner. So the proceeds, some of it goes to them and to the children. Now, persons may say that, it's, how should I put it? They don't care about the fact that he committed a crime and pay for it. So I asked the question, is it that the children should suffer? They couldn't answer me. I said, is it that the children should suffer? Because my take on it is, if it is that you say they don't care what happens, if you commit a crime, then he should have, he didn't factor in his children, clearly. But is it that because he didn't factor in the children, we shouldn't factor in the children as well? In other words, I'm saying, should we just leave them up with the possibility of them also repeating what their father had done? You know what that's how I'm looking at it, you know, because we are here trying to tackle an issue of crime and violence, yet it is that you're saying don't allow him to produce the music. No, maybe he was the only breadwinner of the family. I'm assuming, I'm just making an assumption, I don't know. You know, if it is that he's the only breadwinner of the family, because people might say, well, let other people deal with it. You can't just say that. You have a lot of persons who have families who are alive and well, they are not criminal elements, but they're not helping each other as family members. So I'm just thinking to myself, if you say leave him up and they just are left there and then they become criminal elements, what it is that you're going to say then? Because here it is, there's a method in the madness, and this doesn't negate from him paying for whatever crime and violence and whatever it is that he may have done. Notice I prefaced it. Allow him to do hard labor by producing music in prison does negate him not paying the recompense for his crime committed, you know. So hard labor, frequent counseling, allow him to produce music. Is still a human being we're dealing with. If you understand what I'm saying, it's still a human being we're dealing with. So it's not every day going to be thing there. It's not every day it's gonna be okay, as him sleep and as him they'll probably wake up at a certain time, go to the field, blah 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 blah. You may do that for a time and so forth, but the human being might just crack and die. And I'm just saying, you can't say you want to create change, behavior change, or attitude change, or action change, and you basically become the very same thing that you're trying to curb in the individual. I believe in rehabilitation. I was watching something online recently. I can't remember which country. I don't know if it's Switzerland or Germany or one of those countries. They say every single person in prison will be rehabilitated. So I'm assuming in those prisons, you have murderers, rapists, child molesters, thieves, embezzle, people who do a lot of embezzling, what have you. You name all the crime and criminal acts. You name all of them, and they say they're going to release everybody after they've done with the rehabilitation program. Remember now, their rehabilitation program is going to be based on the type of crime. So as I said, if somebody steals sugar from their cookie jar, they're not probably going to hard labor like somebody who commit murder, clearly. And you know, so I am simply saying I believe strongly in rehabilitation. For me, personally, this is my personal view, it makes no sense you keep packing up the prisons with all these men, and then they serve 20 years, 30 years, they come out, even if them 60, 70, they're probably strong and hard the same way, come out and still commit another crime and end up back in prison, or bring 2 other persons with them. Because that is what is happening. The prisons are packed. That's why a lot of women say, boy, men are hard to find. They're not there. Probably the ratio is 1-to-1. That's my belief. 1-to-1. But it's where they're going. I'm saying, if you find that one method is not working, right? I am simply saying, you try another method until you find that cohesion. Until you find that society is, what should I say now? A sense of normalcy. Because nothing is going to be perfect. You follow what I'm saying? Nothing is going to be perfect. I don't know if somebody was saying to me, sorry, that I don't know, if somebody said to me that Putin, the same prime minister there of whichever country it is from, they're saying that the western side will always have a lot of problems because of the heavy democracy and the heavy everybody said this, it's like we're all over the place. There is no stringent measures. Remember years ago where there was a 15-year-old fellow who went to Singapore and spray painted the place thinking that he probably was in the beautiful United States of America. Oh Lord, he got some flogging for it. I am just simply saying that for me, him producing music, and again, I'm talking about streamlining the kind of music that he's producing. So nobody feel that I'm saying that he must just go out and spread degrading music, violent music, criminal music and all of that, right? I am saying that if it is going to be done, that a lot of measures are taken into place while he pays for what he does. Hard labor, frequent counseling, because I'm assuming, since it is that he's just gotten life imprisonment, because them says 25 years, you consider that life, 25 and upwards, you consider that life. Since he has gotten life imprisonment, unless it is that maybe some appeal comes through and he gets out, whatever the situation is, if he's going to be there, might as well try and create some behavior change for the positive. It don't make no sense you have him in there and just, because that therefore means that your role there as a prison warden or whatever it is, and the role as a prisoner, what sense it makes, because they're using up taxpayer money. So if it is that we're going to criticize and say this and that should happen to them, yet they're in prisons, not being rehabilitated, and yet you're seeing money come out of your work money, I go support them. Your taxpayer money, I support them. So you see the dilemma that we face, or the hypocrisy that we face, or the biases that we face? I am saying that you can still create behavior change, or what it must be behavior change, or the positive, by you can allow him, that's my perspective, to produce good music. Let me just make sure I say that, because I'm not into any slack or violent music, while, so that the proceeds can go to the victim's family and the children, while he does hard labor. Send him out to Richmond Park, while them have some projects to build this and build that and all of that. It may just create a better individual. It may just, I rehabilitate people. It don't make no sense that you have a lot of, you're just having more and more and more and more and more persons going to prison for criminal acts. So when it is that, if it is that this, you allow him to do his music, as I said, remember, it's still a human being you're dealing with. And you streamline maybe the kind of music that he does. You streamline how the money is allocated. You streamline in terms of the hard labor, the counseling that he should attend. And then voila, you may find, let us say, he comes out of prison maybe before the next 30 years, maybe 10 years he spends, or 20 years, or whatever it is. You come out, you see a diamond. I'm just saying, you know, I am saying as best as possible, we have to look at the picture holistically, and never ever say that if a man commits a crime that he should not pay for it. I had a discussion today, and it seemed as if persons seem to get upset, you know, because, you know, they have never ever been supporters of Vybz Kartel. Again, you know, I said to you, if we like somebody versus if we don't really like somebody, that kind of determine how we feel toward them if it is that they commit crime. So if you like the person, they maybe commit a crime, you might say, yeah, them for go prison, yes, but you, in your heart, you don't really want them go through hell and powder house. You don't really want them go through the hard labor. You don't really want them go through things, even because it didn't hit close to home. That is one. Two, you like the individual. If you don't like the individual, then you wish that this, every single thing terrible happened to them. Everything cut off from them. They pay for it. I have a different spin, and yes, it didn't hit. I can't say it hasn't hit close to home. If you're my distant neighbor and you're murdered, or some disenfranchisement has happened to you, I feel it. Naturally, I would feel it if it's somebody closer to me, feel it more. But people can't say because it didn't hit close, it hit close home. Our crime and violence level in Jamaica is too high for a small country. It is way, way too high. We've been in the top 3 for many years. I have an issue with it, and my take on this thing is that I'm not saying that I'm personally believe that we should deal with it from a multifaceted manner. But it to me, you have to start from the head. So I am hearing that Vybz Kartel was a don, or is a don, or whatever it is. How are these don men created? Or don women? Donettes or dons? How are they created? Must be starting from somewhere. Why we don't look closer to home? Let us look at the governing bodies that are there. The powers that be. Where is it starting from? Why it is that these dons are created? Why it is that we don't take it from the root cause? That's how I view it. In terms of dealing with crime and violence, you can't say going to ban this man's music. People are going to go up on iTunes, download the music, they probably have him CD anyway, and find a way to Jim Screech the music somehow out to people. Because this land is a lawless country in many aspects. Look at our roads when you're driving on the road, how people behave. I'm not talking about taxi men. They quarrel with taxi men. Yes, not only taxi men, I find that with regular drivers. A lot of lawlessness. If you go, for example, a lady said somebody was breaking into her home. And when she called the police, said, female police respond. Ah, that's what you call me for? You know, nothing but for do or something to that effect. Her home was being broken into. You understand what I'm saying? So I am simply saying that by saying you're going to ban his music, you know, I would probably say maybe ban in terms of radio, but I don't know if any slack songs can play on our radio stations like that. I'm not sure. You understand what I'm saying? But I can understand you saying it from that angle, as well as what I would have preferred is that we say, if it is that this is what are the stipulations will happen. Because it makes no sense for me personally that you're packing up the prisons for no rehabilitation purposes. It makes no sense then. In other words, it's just wasting your taxpayer money and wasting the prison space. And when I say wasting, the building itself then. Because it therefore means that they're of no use in no way, in no form, in no fashion. Why bother spend taxpayer money on them then, if it is that you're not going to rehabilitate them? So, no makes no sense to say you're going to throw somebody in prison and that's it. You're wasting taxpayers' money, you're wasting a building, you're wasting land space. So that is how I'm looking at it. So if you, to me, I mean, there are a lot of hypocrisies, there are a lot of biases that is in this country right now. A lot of hypocrisies, a lot of biases, a lot of things that should have been done that has not been done. Right? And when you have a man rise up, whether in music or so, that probably taking the world by storm, you know, building on fans and yet creating some form of mayhem, we're going to say, yes, this is the person that is causing all the rubbish. A long time Jamaica a battle top 3 in terms of crime and violence. Long before Vybz Kartel probably even born. Or long before him start to come out with the music. A long time this a gone. So my perspective slightly differs. I'm not saying that a man should not pay for his crime. A man should pay for his crime. Not saying that a man should not pay for his crime. But I am saying as best as possible, we need to invest in rehabilitation. Because it is a waste of taxpayers' money. It is a waste of space. It is a waste of land and of a building if you're going to just have them in there and no form of rehabilitation. And I'm not saying that they should not pay for what they do. I give suggestions. Frequent, life-changing counseling sessions and hard labor. Trust me, if that not change a man, remember me tell you, boy, unless it not make out of the same human fibers. You understand? Hard labor. You know the different hard labors. Go out there in the field, hot sun. You understand? Until the sun, until the soil, sorry. Till the sun, the soil. And you do that a few days for the week, every week. Trust me. If that not change somebody, boy, may I tell you, him not have no human fiber in him. Can you imagine that? Just can you imagine yourself till the soil, hard labor. I'm talking proper hard labor. Me not talk a man just go out in the field like when you dig, plow the ground for pick up yam and banana or whatever it is. I'm talking about hard labor. I'm talking about hard labor. Frequent counseling session. You're making a mind and body, every single solitary transformation inside of him. But and maybe by allowing him to do clean lyrics, might just create the change that we're looking for in the society. Because people might say, my God, if a terrible man like a Vybz Kartel can change, then we have hope. I am just saying, I don't have the 100% answers. It's just that I slightly disagree in the route in which they're going to take to try and curb, because you know you can't deal with everything not going to be 100% perfect, crime and violence. I am just simply saying that. No, yes, Lorna, no, there was actually a part 1. I started saying some things, but I don't know, the internet connection was very weak, you know. So I started it, but I have to end the video and start it all over back again. It wouldn't come back in. Alright. Death penalty, Lorna. Boy, I don't even know what to say. I really and truly don't even know what to say where that is concerned. It's a hard topic to deal with. Because people will say to me that, boy, if it was close home, then he would want the person that. Not necessarily. I remember some years ago, my pastor was preaching about a man whose son was cannibalized. So the person killed his son and ate his son. Because I don't know, I think you have tribes somewhere in some places of the earth that practices cannibalism. And he had to turn around, and he turned around and forgave the man. Can you imagine that? So you see what I'm saying? People will say, because it don't hit close to home, the man's son was cannibalized. You know what I'm saying? And he turned around and forgave him. So it's very difficult. It's really difficult to speak to it. It's very difficult to when it concerns death and murder and all these things. It's really difficult. I don't want to. I'm not going to pretend that, because it's easy to say, boy, I don't believe that, and yet if something happen, you might be so angry that you say death penalty for them. You know what I mean? But it's a very difficult subject. What I will say is that human beings really don't like sufferation. We don't like sufferation. What can will, and I know will create behavior change, is hard labor. Hard labor. We need to get back into that. You understand I'm talking about? I'm not talking about ill-treating somebody like a dog, because that's not going to create change. That only going to just breed revenge. A 1 and 2 might just say, you know what, they're not going to take that, personalize that. Because I remember years ago when I had to do a course by the university, and we went to Fort Augusta. The way how the wardens behave, I'm saying, but this kind of behavior not going to create behavior change, because first of all, they mix mad with sane and insane people together. All them are beggar, take me out, because we have this and that and the other. And it was just awful. It was simply awful. I said, my God. You want to yourself, I bet if them not, it may be best if they may get rid of them or so. I mean, just the way how they were behaving. I was like, oh my God, you only want to go back on the doorway of that place ever again. Even the door when it was open, it was just awful. You follow what I'm saying? I'm saying that hard labor, because as I said, human beings don't like them kind of torture there. You know? Those things will create behavior change. You know? I remember every murder, killings, it's different, you know. That is why you have to go to court and try it and hear the case and blah 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 blah. You know what I mean? So I'm just simply saying that the route in which they're thinking of, I'm not saying that's what they were deciding to do, I don't find that necessarily to be the effective route. We have to deal with things from the root cause, from the powers that be, where we know it starts. And many of us know where a lot of these things start from. It's just like how they say, if the head go bad, the tail waver says the head. Vybz Kartel couldn't just get all of these things just in and of himself like that. It must have been aided, created, allowed by whoever. When it got out of hand, in terms of his music, was just, I mean, it's like a plague. And then this happened. Then that is when you're going to say, oh Lord, blah, 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 blah. I remember years ago when I was doing the masters, I was looking at music and the effects it has on human beings. At the bottom line is it that there were no real empirical evidence to support the view. What persons did was to give their perspectives. Like they say, when you listen to like a Beethoven's music versus what do you call it, you know, the heavy metal type, is like it may stir your emotions, like, you know, because you start to jibe to the music, while Beethoven maybe a little bit lackluster, and you know, and just give your mind that ease. That's a personal feeling. But there were no empirical evidences to support that. Okay, when you listen to bad music, you become an evil person, or when you listen to good music, you become a good person. If that were the case, many of us probably would be incarcerated, the entire world possibly, because at some point or other you would have been exposed to some kind of bad music, you know, even sometimes frequently. Are you a person who listens to these and they're not in no way, form or fashion criminal elements? You know what I'm saying? So there was no empirical evidence in terms of music affecting, you know. I believe though that it does affect you. That's my personal belief, but it's just a personal belief that music can affect you in some way. I don't believe necessarily it will shape who you are as an individual. Environmental factors that you're frequently exposed to, the kind of teachings that come to you that you're exposed to, will shape who you are. Some things are probably even hereditary. You know, you ever hear people say, boy, you may not have lived with your mother, your father, and your family members or friends. I know your mother and father, you look like them, you talk like them, you even do some little behavior. Right. Some things are hereditary. But a lot of things are environmental and what you're exposed to on a daily basis. And I'm not talking about just hearing music. I'm talking about teachings, things that you see, because we learn through our 5 senses. You understand? For those of us who have all our senses together. You know what I'm saying? So it is a very difficult situation, and I'm not here supporting any music that will create mayhem and violence. I am not. Don't misunderstand what I'm saying. I'm simply saying I don't believe that they should start in terms of start it from, you're saying, by banning the music. I have friends who say start from somewhere, and that's their perspective, and I appreciate. Let me tell you something. We all will have our different perspective, and I appreciate person's perspective. If you differ from me, that's fine. I have no issue with that whatsoever. If you have a different perspective from me, that's fine. We're allowed that. We're entitled to that. We all can't agree with each other all the time. I personally believe that we start from the head, from the root cause, and then it filters into, you know, streamlining now, so that it prevents another situation like what happened with Vybz Kartel and others. See, Ninja Man was rehabilitated. I don't know if he has committed any crimes. I've heard that. I don't know what the situation is. And I guess he has been rehabilitated and chanting a path of goodness. You know, going into the different police places there and giving talks and maybe telling them how they can tackle it, how they can deal with it. I'm just saying, rehabilitation will work. Not 100% of the time, because you will have persons who will never change. You'll just say that's just a reality of life. You will have persons who you could have put them maybe hard labor, you could have put them in this and that, but you can't know that. You can't just make that assumption. You have to look at repeatability. Look what generally works. You know what I'm saying? So as I said, and I am for the kinds of music that we produce. If you want in your personal space listen to the slackest, dirtiest, violent music, that's your personal business. We're all given volition. But I'm talking about for airplay for the society. I am saying I agree with some of the other countries that democracy cannot be just almost like a laissez-faire thing, free for all. It's a little bit too democratic in some areas, in a lot of things. And we have all become desensitized to it. So if I come and I say, boys, lad, sorry, you have to just ignore them. And you say, but we can't. Every time, you know, somebody does something that is lawless, unlawful, illegal. That's how people, when they go to people, ignore them. And you're saying, what? And then when things get bad, you say, boy, they did this wicked and it's not the musician or whatever wicked. We contribute to a lot of these things too. When we sit and we ignore. We have to deal with the things from the root cause. It's just like if somebody have an illness and you have yes, you have the symptoms and the whatever else that comes after that. They have to deal with it from the root cause to heal you, to help you. You know? That is my take on it. Deal with it from the root cause, then it filters out. So all of these musicians, and the Vybz Kartel, when I sing all of them gun song and gun tune, trust me, when I was doing my study, I had to listen to a lot of these people. Many of them do it. Is that some of them, when they see certain problems, they probably stop and try another avenue, or try this or try that. A long time, slack music, violent music, all of them things here go on. Long time. Check out the history. Check back. Go back online sometime. Go on YouTube, I do that and listen to a lot of it. And you say, you have to shake it and say, long time these things going on. And then when you have one man now become the author of the day, you know what I mean, the limelight of the day, then you're going to want to put the blame on him. I'm not saying that he has not contributed to some things. That's not what I'm saying. I am simply saying we have been having this issue. We have things on books to deal with a lot of things, and we allow them to get by. Start with the root cause. If we start with the head and the root cause, then we will find a lot of these things minimizing, and people become fearful. Just as when the guy went to place there, to Singapore, the 15-year-old, because I think that maybe she was a young fellow, they won't do him that, and he was beaten, flogged. Then, when things are put into place, dealt with from the head. When we have strong, let me tell you again, my take on it is the leadership quality here. Very difficult to emulate. Very difficult to emulate. The leadership in general in Jamaica. Very difficult to emulate. That is why we have the problem we are having now. And these dons were created. All of these they were created. They were harnessed in one form, in one fashion or another. And that's why we face the problem that we're facing. And for people, if Minister Hannah even say that his music should be banned and him should stop play, and him songs them stop play altogether, you know, don't need to be derogatory and rude and disrespectful, you know, people. My goodness gracious. Why is it that we can't accept persons' views and perspectives on things without being rude and disrespectful? And tearing down and saying all of these derogatory. I mean, somebody was telling me the things that she saw, and like, I'm a little bit nervous to even go and read it. Jamaicans, we have to do better than that, and yet to not talk about dealing with crime and violence. Those things are I mean, a part of the whole, I mean, basic criminal. It might not be a criminal act, but you know what I'm saying. Unless they pass a law about these things. Come on, people, she's one of our leaders, and it's disrespectful. Even if you disagree with her, you can't just simply write, Minister, I disagree with you. You're writing derogatory things. Come on, people, man, enough to do better than that in this country. Really? People can't just disagree in a healthy fashion, even if you're passionate about it. You don't have to write these things. I mean, I am this, and that is what I'm talking about. And that's why a lot of things can't stop at the level of disrespect, the level of maybe lack of proper leadership. Because if measures were put into place, people can't come on social media and talk this way. I saw when they did it to even Trump. It don't matter if you don't like it, don't write those derogatory things. And yet you talk about you want ban a man music. And you have said the same thing on social media about a minister. You're out of order, man. And we have to do better than that as a people. We have to try to do better than that as a people, man. Come on. Come on, it don't matter if you disagree. Fine, that's your perspective. She wasn't saying it for you to agree or disagree. Who agree, agree. Who disagree, disagree. Man, I need to say these things. Come on, man, people. I'm really disappointed. I only pray and hope, though. As I said, as I said, the Bible says, if my people who are called by name humble themselves, turn from their wicked ways, then he will hear from heaven and heal our land. That's how the change will come, people. Alright, so we could have talked all different perspectives that sound beautiful and sound fancy and sound nice. If my people who are called by name shall humble themselves and turn from the wicked ways, he will hear from heaven and heal the land. Measures have to be put in place. Strong leaderships need to be enacted. Good succession planning need to be passed down. And then we will see a change. That's my perspective. And when a man pay for the crime through hard labor, proper hard labor, and good rehabilitation program, we will see a better Jamaica. That's my perspective. Alright, people, so have a good day. Have a beautiful day. You can comment if you feel like. Share my post if you feel like.